So guys, I wanted to talk about Chelsea today. I know, I've talked a lot about Chelsea so far this season, and usually in pretty negative terms, I will be honest. I have criticised them for a number of things, the way they run their club, their transfer policy, all that usually good stuff, but in Chelsea's case, pretty bad stuff, at least in my opinion anyway. But I'm actually going to praise them today. I'm going to give them kudos, credit where it's due. Because, in my opinion, they're having, very quietly, they've kind of ghosted into the top of the Premier League. And I said this during my 5 things review of the last Premier League game week 5. You know, there was a time briefly before Arsenal and Manchester City played where they were actually in 4th place. They're in 5th as things stand. They're level on points with Newcastle, who of course had a very good season this season so far up until they played against Fulham, and that's kind of knocked the wheels off their wagon a little bit. But Chelsea, like I said, they're quietly having a good season here. They're in 5th place in the Premier League. They've got a new manager. They are very much tipped to struggle, and things are looking pretty good for them. They haven't lost since the opening day of the season, and that was against Manchester City, which is no disrespect at all, losing against City, you know. Perfect season for them so far, apart from the draw against Arsenal at the weekend. You know, they've been incredible, and obviously full-time Premier League champions, and there was very much a cloud hanging over Chelsea that game because of what was happening with Raheem Sterling, what was happening with some of the players. It was Enzo Maresca's first game in charge. But since then, they haven't lost a game. In fact, they've won every game except for one. And admittedly, that was a disappointing draw against Crystal Palace. They could have won it. But in the end, it was a comeback draw for Palace in that one. So I would say that was disappointing, but they've had some good results, especially against West Ham at the weekend. I mean, yeah, West Ham were not good. Let's not get away from that. And that is the caveat to my kind of, not argument really, but just my kind of assessment of Chelsea. Like I always say in these videos, guys, I am not a Premier League club fan. I am just a fan of the Premier League, as it were. I watch the games. My club is not in the Premier League this season, so I'm a neutral in this. I have no skin in the game whatsoever. I just say it as I see. I'm like Roy Walker, or whatever his name is, the guy from Catchphrase. Say what you see, And I'm seeing that Chelsea are pretty far up the Premier League table, ahead of Brighton, well ahead of Man United and Tottenham. They're not having the worst season by any stretch of the imagination, in my opinion. But like I just kind of alluded on to there, you have to take things with a little pinch of salt with them, because at the end of the day, they've not faced, apart from Man City, or where they lost obviously, they've not faced that many top level teams. In fact, they haven't faced any top level teams really. I mean, their victories have come against Wolves, who are really struggling this season. West Ham have had a poor start to the season. Bournemouth away, yeah, that is a good win. That is a good result. But something you have to notice is the fact that they haven't won a home game yet, in the Premier League at least. They are through in the Conference League, obviously. They start their EFL Cup campaign at home against Barrow. That's tomorrow. I would very much wager that they're going to go through in that one, with the greatest respect to Barrow. They're a League 2 side. I'm sure they'll bring plenty of fans down. That's one of the biggest games in their history, really. They've been a non-league team for a very long time. But let's not talk about them. Let's talk about Chelsea a bit more. And they get the Conference League league phase campaign going in a week's time or so against Ghent at home. But they've got a big test coming up. They have a big test, and I think this will really show how Chelsea have progressed, if they have progressed, right? They've got Brighton at home as the next Premier League game. That is going to be a very tough match. Brighton are unbeaten so far this season. Yes, they've had kind of disappointing draws, you might argue, at home against Nottingham Forest and Ipswich Town, but still they've not lost. Hertzler is very much a manager who has really impressed me so far in his very short time on the South Coast. Maresca in South London, well, not South London, sorry, South West London technically, I must say, or is it West London, Chelsea? I think it might be West London. Listen guys, I'm a proud northerner, right? I've not been to London that many times. I do get confused with geography out there. I think it is West London technically. I think Southwest is Wimbledon, isn't it? So, but yeah, they've got a tough game against Brighton at the weekend. So we'll see. I think that'll be the proof in the Blues pudding, really. To be honest with you, that doesn't sound very nice, does it? But that'll show us how they really progressed, if anything. But credit where it's due. They're in 5th place in the Premier League, and they're having a much better season so far this season than the likes of Man United and Tottenham. Early days, very early days, of course. But this is the time when they should be struggling, if anything, because of how many new players there are, getting used to the system, getting used to a new manager. So that's my thoughts on it. But Chelsea fans, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you guys having an alright season? Has this all been overblown in the pre-season with the transfers and everything? I want to hear your thoughts. And of course, keep it subscribed to thefootballchronicle.com to see much more football content just like this.